They changed the name to drop down.
It still ain't sorted that. It goes, doesn't it? Cuts dead so quick. Right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. And we are here again. Oh, my God. It comes around so quick. We're getting nearer and nearer to Christmas. And obviously before that, we're going to not talk about the World Cup. But anyway, I might have a rant about that again today, folks. Something's come up that's made me come out the closet, you could say. And I want to have a rant. But anyway, that's for later on in the show. So, folks, God, been a busy week. So I'm not completely prepared for today's show, but we're going to crack on. Plenty to talk about, and I've got a little segment that I think will be fun. Let's see how Nigel's been. Nigel, how you been? Have you had a good week?
Yeah, it's been a steady one, mate. Went out for a few sherbets on Saturday for a change. Yeah, apart from that, just the same as any other week. Not a lot of exciting going on in my life at the moment, but.
And Greg, how you doing, Greg?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, week at work, mate, and just a quiet weekend. To be fair, I've got a couple of busy weekends coming up, so I had to take it easy for one.
Yeah, cool. Right, okay. We got the big launch of the radio station coming up next week, folks. So just to say, if you are listening to this and it is Saturday at 12 o'clock, welcome to Proper Football Radio, because we're going to be airing this show on the radio 12 till 1 on Saturday, this coming Saturday. Our opening weekend. We'll give you more information as the week progresses. Right, we're going to move straight in, guys. We're going to talk about Championship. Me and Nigel just been having a little chat off air, and I think it's fair to say, one, we're going to have a little chat about the chaos caused at a number of grounds this week, but certainly the chaos at the end of the Sheffield United Blackpool game, the chaos at Hull versus Birmingham City, which we just touch on that. I should put that in the funny old game section, really. Again, we got this problem with the size of the goalpost. Ludicrous. And we're going to, so let's start with the Championship. Guys, the Championship this year, is there anyone, can you put your money on who's going up? My view is you can't. Everyone gets beat by everybody. There don't seem to be a dominant couple of sides in there. I know at the moment you've got Burnley and Sheffield United up there at the top, but come on, they're so beatable as well. It's just, is it not the most open Championship for years, or is it just me? Any one of you? Go on.
I think it's definitely wide open this year. I think basically the league's waiting for one team to win about 5 or 6 games in a row, and I think that'll put a bit of space between the rest of them. There don't seem to be any club in that Championship at the moment that can string more than 4 wins in a row. Exact. So it's definitely wide open.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, what do you reckon, Greg?
I agree. I think that, well, Burnley at the moment are the form team. Obviously, they've strung quite a few results together. I think they're unbeaten in a while as well. But you look at the table, and it's mad because I think even Burnley have only won 6 or something, and they're top. Sheffield United, they've got a decent squad, but they've dropped points. But you even look at the sides down the bottom. You know, the likes of Borough and West Brom who were tipped start of the season. They're both struggling, but you know, when they both get new managers in, what's to say that they're not going to be right up there with a little run? It's a really strange league, and I think bar the season that Newcastle were in the league, and obviously who was it? Was it Leeds as well? Wasn't it? There was two teams that ran away. No, sorry, Fulham that ran away with it. Except for that, it's always been a bit of a anyone can beat anyone league. But it's very unpredictable, mate. And you know, even like ourselves, we ain't out of it yet. You know, it's all to play for any team, really.
Yeah, it's madness. It's definitely wide open. I just want to touch on. First of all, let's touch on me and Nigel just talking on it. I would have loved to have put the video up, but I've only just literally looked at it myself. But the madness that surrounded the Sheffield United Blackpool game. Nigel, do you want to just give an idea of what we were looking at there?
Well, basically, Sheffield United took the lead, I think. I think they went 2-0 up, something like that. Then Blackpool pulled it back to 2-2. And then they got a player sent off. I'm not sure how they got a player sent off for the first one that got sent off. That put them down to 10 men. But then they went 3-2 up. And Sheffield United were all over them. And then for some strange incident, the geezer's got to pick the ball up for Sheffield United, I think, to take the corner. And as he went to pick up, the Blackpool players booted it at him. So he gets sent off. So they're now down to 9 men. They get an equaliser, Sheffield United, right towards the end of the game. And then the next thing you see is the whistle goes and they're on the pitch. The goalkeeper seems to have taken off his tracksuit top or whatever he's wearing, and he's decked one of the Sheffield United players. And then it's a free-for-all. You know, they've all joined in and they're all pulling each other apart. And the referee ends up going over and sending the keeper off after the match and the Blackpool player off after the match. So they've had 4 red cards and 6 goals. It's a mad one. You've got to watch it to believe it.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it.
Three players off, wasn't it, with Blackpool?
Yeah.
Mad. Just actually, I've got a bit of a clip here. Bear with me. So the madness that's taken place at Watford the other night, with all the technical delays. We're going to talk about the Leeds United game in a minute, but we're still sticking with the Championship. And today, if you all remember, we had the controversy at the Burnley game, was it, where one goal was 2 inches higher than the other. What it is it's where they'd put them in the holes, but they hadn't sunk down deep enough on this occasion. So anyway, we come now to Hull City, Birmingham, and this, I think it's something like a 20-minute delay because they've measured the posts. They're too high, they reckon. So there they are. They're cutting the. This is. Is there a word for this?
Bonkers, mate. That's the word.
I mean, what the hell is going on?
I put it on our page earlier, and one of the comments really made me laugh. Some fella he commented, and he put, have the goals grown since last week? I don't know why. It just made me laugh more than it should have. But it's becoming a point now where everyone is just taking the piss and sarcastic comments because it's so ridiculous that people. What else do you do? It's just madness, isn't it?
Who's actually measured it and what time? So surely if you had a doubt that the goalposts were a bit higher than the other ones, you'd have expected it before the match, wouldn't you?
Well, exactly.
Somebody must have had an inkling that they weren't right. So why wasn't it done before the match?
Absolute bonkers. Absolute.
The thing is, when a game's about to kick off, you always see like the linos, don't you? They run across and they check the net in, and then obviously they're across to where they need to be. But the whole measuring of the goalposts and that, I think that was announced about 2:45 or something, and it was a 3:00 kickoff. So someone must have come out pre-match and got an idea that something wasn't quite right. It certainly wasn't as it was about to kick off. It was earlier than that. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess every club in the country is now going out to measure their goalposts. And a lot of clubs take them down. And I think this is the problem. If they don't sink down enough, then obviously they're going to be a touch higher. It's mad. And then just obviously moving away from Championship and to one of today's games, Leeds United. Who were they playing? Chelsea? Arsenal, was it? Leeds United?
Leeds Arsenal, yeah.
Leeds Arsenal. Greg, what I'm not completely. I know it's technical issues like it was at Watford Swansea the other night.
Yeah.
Again, give us a bit of an idea what's gone on there, because I'm not really.
Yeah, so I didn't watch it, but what I heard is it was a minute into the game, and apparently they had some technical problems where the referee and the fourth official weren't receiving communication to the VAR. So obviously the people that are in Stockley Park, and I don't know if it was off the back of a power cut potentially. But they took all the players off the pitch. I think it was a 35-minute delay, and I think they might have restarted and then stopped again and then went, yeah. So it was just a mess. But it was all to do with the fact that there was no communication with VAR. But I saw a clip where the referee went over with the ball, and he was like sort of trying to put the ball over the line and seeing if it made any difference and all that, and shaking his head and walking off. So they wasn't receiving the goal line tech info or obviously, the beeping or whatever. So, but come on, it's just modern day football's gone nuts, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's just gone mad.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad. Bit quiet in the old chat room today, folks. So jump on and have your say as well. It's all about everyone having their say. Big shout out to Millwall Gary there. How are you, mate? It's been a while since. I'm sure I know you, don't I? Yeah, I'm completely sure I do. But anyway, great to have you on, Gary. What a wonderful name that is, eh? Great name. Okay. So we've had some madness. Now, I just want to move a quick one here. The Hand of God football sold for, I don't know, any idea what it sold for? £3 or £4 million, something stupid, wasn't it?
Didn't see,
the
mate.
Ball, the ref had taken it with him after the game, locked it in his cupboard for all these years. Yes, it is Millwall, Gary. How I wanted to make sure, mate, but yeah. Good guy is Gary down there at Millwall. But yeah, the Hand of God ball. And there's been controversy now where they're saying, well, the ref should share the money with the linesman. And oh my God, it's like after Steve Hodge had his bit as well.
3.3 million, apparently it was, Gal.
3.3 million. They reckon it was all deflated and what? The world's gone mad in it. Here we are, we're in a financial crisis, and we've just sold this deflated bit of leather that Maradona put his out. All right, I know it's a big deal, I suppose, but Jesus Christ, what is the world coming to? Mate, there are people out there with more money than sense. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to move on to the FA Cup. FA Cup fourth round qualifying rounds yesterday. That is now meaning that the next round is the proper first round of the FA Cup is the next one. So this was a big day for all these non-league sides because potentially they could pull a league side in. And I want to highlight a couple of results there. If any of you guys want to highlight any, then crack on. A fantastic 3-2 win for Colville over Notts County. That's the biggest shock. I know a few. Well, to be fair, that's a bit more like Nottingham versus Leicester, if I'm honest. I know a lot of Leicester lads go and follow Colville. I know a few of them. They had a big day out, and they pulled a great result off, putting them into the first round proper. I've got a picture. Bear with me, of their fans again. I know we talk about this, but the FA Cup for the lower leagues, it means so much, and you can see this on cut the clips I'm about to show. So this is the Colville fans at Notts County yesterday, or some of them. They're in their thousands, so fantastic day out, and this is what the FA Cup brings to our game. It really does bring some stuff back. And then I want to show this one, Merthyr Tydfil, or Merthyr FC. They got a win, putting them into the first round proper. And just see this. Just see this. Putting too many on at once. What a terrific. If you're listening to this on the radio and it's Saturday, what I've just shown is a clip of Murford's players going to thank the crowd, their supporters. Brilliant atmosphere, great crowd, and this is what the FA Cup's all about, isn't it?
Definitely. Brilliant. There was some good standout results. Like you mentioned Colville. So I went to Stourbridge, Colville last season, met a couple of Colville lads. And unfortunately, I didn't manage to keep in contact with them. But, they're actually obviously Leicester fans, but they said that they're a bit sick and tired of the Premier League now and they follow Colville home and away and that. And I did actually think of them yesterday. I thought, them two lads I was having a beer with, Good on them.
I can put you in touch with them, mate. Trust me.
Yeah, no, brilliant. But
a few good lads up there. And they are Leicester. But it's like what you hear, you hear a lot like I think last week Matty put up a thing from saying about, Pompey lads following Porchester and, the FA Cup's so special. I mean, Nigel, you've played in an FA Cup final. I mean, it was then the pinnacle of everything that we all wanted as fans, as players. That isn't the case so much now, but it is why it's in its infancy in the lower qualifying rounds where these little clubs get a chance of a bit of glory. So I still, we've got Ian Howes in America. We've gone international, folks. The good old US of A. Ian's in America. He's tuned in. I better just before I do come to Nigel, apologies, Nigel. Ben Cliff there, evening, gentlemen, talking about refs. We played City of Liverpool yesterday. Was we talking about refs? Oh, the communication, yeah. The ref wrongly sent off one of their players off, and sorry that someone else come on it and made it jump up, and I've lost where I was. Didn't give us a Stonewall penalty I've ever seen handball. Even their fans and players walked away knowing it was a penalty. Yeah, I mean, Nigel, I'll tell you what, I'm going to come back to that about refs in a minute. Nigel, the FA Cup, such a special, event, really. It was. It's not like I say, it wasn't so much now. You played in the final when it was. I was there, but it still ignites that feeling in the lower leagues.
Yeah, I think when you get to the point where if you win your match, you're in the first round proper. I think every cup game to the lower league sides is a cup final then. I think they've probably reached the cup final. Realistically, they're never going to get to Wembley, but it's the attraction of getting a good team, a top team draw. It's an away day for the fans. So they're going to remember that. They'll be talking about that a few years later in the pub. And so, it's a journey for them supporters that don't support the big teams. It's brilliant because they get their day out, and like you say, you can remember the cup final at Watford Everton, Gaz, all them years ago, and that's what memories it will leave with them supporters at them clubs. So it's brilliant. I think the FA Cup's brilliant. The only thing that's changed now is that the sort of semi-finals are played there at Wembley, aren't they? And
I agree with that.
It's a gloss away from it a little bit. It's definitely exciting for them and supporters and the teams. Like I said, even if they get a lower side, they still want to win that because it's a cup final for them, and it will lead to a better draw in the next round, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carry on.
Out to do I say is it Pidge? How do you pronounce that?
Pidge.
No, Pidge. I do say it right. Sorry, Paul, if I've said that wrong. Right, but before we go on, what's this about?
Gary, I'll give a shout out to some other FA Cup games. Is that all right?
Yeah, you can. Let me just catch up with the people on the thing. Sorry, Cally, don't tell Gary about the bar name, lol. What's that then?
He's over in New York at the moment, and he went to a bar where they sell a drink called BJ's.
Right.
I said, well, so if the girl comes over to you, you ask for 4 BJ's. He actually sent me a picture with the glass and it's got BJ's written on it.
Mad. Watford Everton 1984 was a cracking day out, other than the result. Okay, cool. Again, Cally being mentioned about playing in that cup final as well. Greg, you please highlight. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Small FA Cup
So
result.
obviously, Colville was probably the standout one yesterday, but
Yeah,
South Shields at home to Scunthorpe. Obviously, Scunthorpe National League got relegated
Yeah.
last year from the Football League. South Shields, managed by Kevin Phillips, got a 1-0 win at home, so knocked out a National League team there. Chester went away to Oldham, who again were also in the Football League last year, got a draw, so forced a replay there. A couple of other teams as well who have obviously. Let's have a quick look through here. So let's have a look. What we got? Alv Church, a little village team up this way actually in the West Midlands. They got a result against Worksop, so they're through to the first round, and they're a very small team, not long been in the Southern Prem, so fair play to them. They've done well as well. Blythe Spartans forcing a replay against Wrexham. Decent result, obviously knowing Wrexham's money and everything like that. So there was a few, and Aldershot got beat as well, another national league team as well. So there was a few shocks along the way. So fair play to all the lower league teams that got through. Fantastic. I think there's 4 or 5 Southern Prem teams that got through, which is decent.
We look forward to the first round proper. Just reiterating there from Pidge, the smaller clubs, it means so much because of the financial reward for them, and the romance is not dead in the early rounds for them as well. Absolutely. A big shout out to Damo there as well, tuned in. It is still alive, but in the lower leagues and in the earlier rounds. Once you go beyond the quarterfinals, I think it's just foregone conclusions. Top 6 dominated again, with the odd exception now and again. Right, okay. Brilliant. We've done that. We've done the goalpost Leeds. So Leeds, how long was Leeds delayed for again?
I think it was 35 minutes, give or take.
35 minutes. I guess the problem there was more to the fact that does involve VAR. So that probably is one of the reasons why. I think I did say I wanted to come back about, so someone's having a pop at the ref there, Ben having a pop at the ref from his game yesterday. I just want to say this, there's been a lot of discussion this week about the abuse and the violence that's directed at referees. And some poor ref got a good hiding as well last 2 weeks ago, and this is what's prompted I think the Merseyside Youth League, 150 teams cancelled all their games in protest of the abuse of referees. Look, we all have a pop at the referee, and it's absolutely it's one of them things, isn't it, that all right, they're bringing all the technology in, but that'll only be in at the top end. You can't play football without a referee. And I do. I know I've been there. Used in the black and all that, and you have a good moan about the ref, but it was all part of the game. But in these other leagues, if they can't get refs to start signing on, and why would you want to be a ref with that fear of you getting a good idea, talking about the body cams and all that now? All I say to anyone listening and everyone out there, wobble your heads a little bit, because you can't play football without one.
Yeah.
You want your football, respect the refs. Take a leaf out of rugby's book. You'd never see that happen in rugby, trust me. But and it's up to the other players and the clubs to deal with these lunatics. That guy got a good hiding and ended up in hospital. I mean, a proper good hiding. Ridiculous, because he made a decision the guy didn't like. No refs, no football. So I think it is time for people to say, look, we love to have a fucking dig at them. Oh, swear in there, but we do love to have a dig at a ref, but have a dig at them in verbal, like, to yourself, to your mates in the pub. Don't start getting violent. You know what I mean? The refs
there's lines, isn't there?
And they get threats. Their families are getting threats. I mean, No, I'll just say, I mean, hashtag it somebody. Make a hashtag. No refs, no football. You want to play football, then show a bit of respect to the refs. Okay. Gary Mill, remind everyone, please hit the like button. Share as well. Absolutely. Share, like, subscribe to YouTube. We need you. We need to get 1,000 people on there. We've only got 231 on our YouTube channel. Come on, folks. We need that support. Right. Coolio. Let us now move on to what we got. We're doing well here, guys. We're doing well. Right. We're going to go into football funnies. Nigel, I hope you've got a story ready again. We're going to, a bit later or shortly, we're going to be doing the good old days with Nigel. So if you've got a question, we got a question last week, but it wasn't about the good old days. But if you've got a question or you would like a story out of Nigel, then please ask. If not, he's got one in the bag, hopefully. Right, we're going to go to... It's a funny old game. This is where we have a bit of a laugh. Now, I have been a bit busy this week, so I've not been able to do loads, but I've also managed, though, to knock up a little bit of a new segment. Right, so funny old game this week. Haaland's brother. I don't know if you've seen this going around, but this is going around. And they're about Haaland's brother, and they're saying this is Haaland's brother. Obviously, we know who it is. I just thought that was quite fun. But anyway, yeah, social media is bashing this one out. This Haaland, whatever, something Haaland, his brother. That is good. That is good. Anyway, Boris, look it. And... mate, we're talking about Arsenal with the trays and the pull-down tables, and you'll be able to have 3-course meal. Well, did you know now you can buy a pop-up director's box? Oh, yeah. If you're listening to this on the radio, which will be hopefully next Saturday, I've just shown a picture of Boris when he played in that Aid game. And this picture is a young lady sat there with a cup of coffee in a little pop-up tent watching the footy. The pop-up director's box. Brilliant. Right, I'm gonna put this on, and then I'm going to lead into something a little bit different for this week as well. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, and I'm sure it's going to provoke some conversation. So my next little funny is this. It is filtering through that the Pozzos now have control of the UK government. Pozzos, who own Watford, who own Udinese, and have a part share in Granada, by all accounts now have quite an influence in the UK government. This is due to the fact that they're sacking everybody. So the Pozzos now involved with the UK government. That's why everyone's getting a sack. I've got to just move on to that. I don't want to touch on politics, but my God, what a ridiculous week in politics it's been. However, this leads me on to a little bit of a news section now, chaps, and it's going to go a little bit like this.
Mary Poppins, I am not. Repeating again, you're like a parrot. 5. Like people, there's little chickens and big chickens. You're 5. A loose cannon. You're 5. Like a bull in the China's drop. Oh, you're 5. Like a bull in the China's drop. Oh, you're 5. Mary Poppins, I am not. Like people, there's little chickens and big chickens. You're 5. I'm getting sick and tired of you denying all this. You're 5. Do with us, whatever goes wrong, we'll just sit up there waiting and you're 5. Like a bull in the China's drop. Oh, you're 5.
This section is you're fired. So what we're going to do in this section is we're going to be looking at the ins and outs of managers, and there's been quite a few, and I'm just going to cover off. Obviously, there's a couple this week that happened. I'm just going to cover off the departures so far. The month kicks off with Bruno Lage, Wolves, who incidentally, by all accounts, are looking to bring back the other fella. I forgot his name now. So they're looking at bringing him back now. Yeah, Chris Wilder was sacked from Middlesbrough on the 3rd of October. Matt Taylor from Exeter City on the 4th of October. On the 9th of October, Kevin Betsy from Crawley Town. And then we've got this week, we've got, okay, there we are. So we've got James Rowbury from Newport County was sacked on the 10th. And the same day, the big one really this week was Steve Bruce, I think on the cards, being sacked from West Brom. I mean, it's manager. I don't know anymore. It's one of the most crazy jobs in the world now, isn't it? Being a football manager.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a weird one because the ones you've mentioned there, obviously, I think the Exeter one. I think Rotherham approached Exeter for him, so he obviously decided to take the step.
Well, departures, right.
Yeah, I think with the likes of Steve Bruce, probably the most predictable sacking going that they've been shocking West Brom.
Yeah,
and obviously Chris Wilder. That's a weird one. It's just not worked out for him, is it? And he's a top manager, so I don't know what's happened there. But overall, you're right. Like there's a lot of manager sackings where you just think, Christ, like give them time and what's going on. But nothing's going to change. It's only going to get more frequent. You know what I mean? And it will only be a matter of time until probably Rodgers at Leicester loses his job, Hasenhüttl at Southampton loses his job. It's going to keep happening.
Well, we'll keep abreast of it each week. Nigel, what are your feelings on managers and comings and goings? And
it's a bit different from losing your job as if you're a normal working person, because you're sort of wondering where your next wage packet is going to come. But these managers, they're getting paid off anyway. So, although they're getting sacked, they're still getting a compensation package, aren't they? Which they're not going to die living up for the next few months. But yeah, I agree with Greg. The Wilder one's it's a strange one. When he got Sheffield United up into the Premier, he had a really good season, didn't he? And everyone was talking him up as being a good manager. Now he's sort of got sacked from Sheffield United. It's not worked out for him at Middlesbrough. And
the strange thing with them as well is the fact that since they've got rid of him, I think they've played 2 games. I think they might have. Was it Millwall? Did they lose there or get a point there? But then they lost against Blackburn yesterday. So it's not working out for them, even after they got rid of Wilder. Whereas at least with West Brom, they got rid of Bruce and they got 3 points yesterday. So there's been some sort of reaction. Do you know what I mean? It's a strange one with Barrow.
You understand, get that though, when teams sack the manager, for some reason they only seem to go out and win the next match.
Yeah.
That's why I said when Watford beat Stoke 4-0, first match under Slaven, I was saying to Pitch that the fans shouldn't get carried away with that, because that normally happens when they get a new manager. Everyone sort of ups their game a little bit, and it's proved it because I think we lost the next 2 games, and then we had a good result against Norwich. It's the players you get dealt with. Sometimes you could be the best manager in the world, if you can't work with them players and you can't get them to play the way you want them to play. You get struggle.
I think in terms of Bilic as well at Watford, I think obviously he came in and he had 3 games in 6 days, so he had absolutely no time to work with them. And obviously, what you say about Stoke, spot on. He'd been there 48 hours. They came out, they gave a good reaction straight away, first performance. But then it was straight into another game. Whereas between the last game and obviously the game against Norwich, he had a full sort of 7 days to work with the players and obviously implement his own sort of style and tactics and whatnot. And obviously good results Saturday night. So I think it is all about, you get a reaction first off, and then you need a bit of time as a new manager to work with the team and actually, implement your own sort of style, But it goes back to what we were saying earlier about the Championship. Would it surprise either of you if Borough and West Brom are up there at the end of the season if they get the right manager in? Because the league, anyone can beat anyone.
Well, I actually had West Brom in one of my accumulators to win the league at the start of the season. So, going back to managers, they've given the lad at Forest a new contract. I tell you what, if he loses the next 4 games, I think he'll be out of the door.
I think what they'll do with that, and I think they'll probably give him up to the World Cup, and then if things haven't turned, they'll. I actually talking of the new segment of managers and all that, wouldn't shock me if you see a lot of managers in and out the door in that month when obviously there's no football. I know obviously there's still football in League 1 and 2, but that's going to be a time when clubs are going to make decisions.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because it gives them time to organise, doesn't it? And I think that's what they're waiting for. But yeah, so that's going to be the new segment. I mean, obviously there might be weeks where we don't need to do it, but when we know there's a few ins and outs, we can have a look at them and debate them, I guess. So we've done the funnies, we've done the managers thing. I think it's time for this. Bear with me, folks. I think it is definitely time for the good old days. Yes, we're going to go back to the good old days with our very own Nigel Callaghan, who obviously got lots of stories and had a wonderful time in the 80s as a player. So, Nigel, not had any questions come through as of yet. If you've got a question, now's the time to fire it over to me. Pop it in any of the platforms you're on. Not a problem. And as of next week, you'll be able to drop me a text as well. Hey. But anyway, Nigel, over to you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the subject of managers, actually. I got asked a question about how the move to Derby came about when I was at Watford. I actually played up at Newcastle with the under-21s. And we was training at Newcastle's training ground. And on the Saturday before that, we'd been in Newcastle and met up with Kevin Keegan, Terry McDermott. So Keegan was saying to me, how'd you get on with your gaffer GT? We heard he's really strict and all that lot. And I said, well, yeah, he sort of makes me scapegoat sometimes. And he said, I'll have a word with our gaffer. He'd love to have you. And that was Arthur Cox at the time. So the next day we're training. And at the end of the training, he says, how are you, Nigel? And I said, I'm good, thanks, Mr. Cox. And he said, just remember, if you're ever unhappy, we'll always have you. And I should have, I was 19 at the time. If I wanted to move, I should have put a transfer request in and they'd have come in for me. And it would have been Chris Waddle, Kevin Keegan, Beardsley and me in the front four. So anyway, I went back to Watford and I had my ups and downs with Graham. And right at the end of the season, he dropped me for the game against Luton. And I handed in a transfer request, which didn't go down too well. So they lost the match against Luton. We went all the way through pre-season. And I was in the reserves. Wouldn't even look at me, wouldn't even speak to me. Started the season off on the bench in case Barnsley got injured. And eventually he said to me, I'm selling you to Charlton. And this was after the first match of the season. I didn't really want to go there, but I went and had a chat with Lenny Lawrence. And what he offered me wasn't good. So I said to Taylor, I want to fight for my place here. And he said, well, you haven't got a place. He said, you ain't going to play in my side again. So you might as well go back and negotiate terms with him. So I went back, agreed better terms with Lenny Lawrence, and I was expecting to sign for him. And he went on for 2 weeks, and he kept ringing me up and said, you do want to come to us, don't you? You do want to come to us? I said, yeah. He said, well, your gaffer's just installing it all the time. So anyway, I got back in the first team. Taylor said, I'm not happy with the way Charlton have conducted themselves through this process and come and play for me at Norwich. And I got back in the first team. I stayed in the first team right away up until Arthur Cox came in for me, and he was at Derby. And Taylor said to me, Arthur Cox wants you to go and have a chat with him about going to play for Derby. And I said to him, well, I've just come off the transfer list, Gaffer. I'm quite happy here at Watford. And then he said to me, I think you should go and speak to Arthur Cox. He says, potentially Derby are a bigger club than Watford will be. And he said, I think you should have a chat with him. So everything he said to me then sort of more or less got me thinking, well, maybe it's time for a change. And the fact that Arthur wanted me at Newcastle, and then he went to Derby and he wanted me at Derby, I thought, well, probably a change is the right thing at the time. So that's how it all came about, really. But it's really strange that I got back in the side, came off the transfer list, and a week later, he's accepted a bid for Derby, yeah. So that was my story about the good old days.
The good old days, absolutely. Just going to refer back to the chat room again. David Lovegrove has said, what's the point in sacking a manager during the World Cup, the new manager wouldn't be able to work with the players that they are representing their countries. I guess, David, the point would be there will be quite a number of clubs particularly in the Championship, that probably retain the vast majority of their side. So I'm guessing that's why you may see that happen, because they probably will have the majority of their players to work with for a month. So I can see some reasoning why a club would do that. But I do agree in essence with what you're saying. If you consider it, you're quite right that most of them sides probably majority of their team are out in Qatar. But there will be sides that are not in that situation. I'm guessing there is an advantage if they want to get rid of the manager to do it then. Okay, Cally said on my pod a few weeks ago, Graham Taylor, the managers were the highest earners. Now the players earn more. So that's just referring back to our discussion about managers. Yeah, you're right. The players dominate now, don't they, really? And like you say, back in the day, the managers would always have been the highest paid people in the club. Right. So we've got a little bit of time. I know I'm going to have a little rant in a minute, but I did miss out something that I wanted to bring up about we were talking about Championship, actually. But anyway, excuse me, sorry. So the EFL, and I am very much guessing that this would, sorry guys, I just lost my stream. There we are. EFL are planning to end and make live game the streaming giants. Now, obviously, that has been in place for years. I don't ever remember 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs ever being live on telly. What we do know is every club streams to their respective members. So every game is streamed live on in the EFL, and quite a few in. But what the chaps, it looks like they're going to go and try and break, I guess, away from the mould of being so dependent on the Premier League and offer up much different TV rights to the likes of Sky and everything else. They are looking for quite a share of money for it. So something available for broadcast: Netflix, Amazon, Apple, YouTube, Facebook streaming live football. So I think we've got a TV revolution coming out. The blackout was always put into place to, I guess, attend and everything else. But this is all going out the window. They are looking. I'm just reading it up here, actually. So they're targeting the EFL targeting £200 million a year by selling more matches to a mass market. This would be a big increase on the current 119 million that they currently from Sky. So this sounds like this could be quite a useful move by the EFL and bring more money into the lower league clubs. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was inevitable, to be honest, mate. I think it was always going to happen. Sky have naturally obviously got a lot of competition now with the services that like Amazon offer and Netflix, and obviously, like you say, there's going to be online platforms as well, like Facebook and other ones as well that are going to come along. Is it 2024 or something like that it can start from? But I think it was inevitable, really. You look at the Championship and the size of the Championship and the teams that drop into it now. It is still, obviously it's nowhere near Premier League level, but it is still one of the biggest leagues in the world and one of the most watched. So having a complete blackout at 3 PMs, whereas with the Premier League, for example, I think yesterday you saw maybe 2-3 o'clock kickoffs. In the Championship, that never happens. There's always sort of 7, 8, 9, 10, and these fans want to see these games. And okay, it might have a bit of an effect on away attendances, I guess, or even home attendances. But I think it was inevitable. It's going to happen. And I think in the main, it's a good thing. I know me, for example, if I can't get to a game, but I'm able to watch it, obviously I'm over the moon with that. So that side of it, would be good. But what will they charge for it? What's the cost going to be? Because we already pay for our Sky and all the others. So what's the extra cost going to be?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with costs.
I'm guessing.
It's just a case of all the pubs show the games, the local, like Derby. There's a lot of pubs in Derby show the games from the Derby Rams and stuff like that. Watford too, and I know that a lot of people they love going down a pub and watching a match as well. Like it's not the same watching it in the front room as it is. To go down to a pub where you can have a pint. You don't have to pay to watch the TV.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of them. It's a flick of the coin, really, isn't it?
The thing is, it's got to work though, because like Sky at the moment, they do the midweek games on the red button, and honestly, it's a complete shit show. Like I think I've watched about 3 or 4 Watford games on the red button. Maybe not that many, but a couple this year. And like the Blackburn game, it was pathetic. It was about 2.5 minutes behind. It kept cutting out. It kept freezing. No replays. You can't bother with it. It's a waste. So, you're better off firing your laptop up and trying to find a stream, because it's going to be more reliable tuning into somewhere that's showing it in America than watching it on Sky. The red button thing on Sky is an absolute joke. So if they do it right, it'll work. But if they copy that platform, then it's not going to be any good.
Yeah, I think the interesting factor on this is the names of the EFL are approaching. Now, Netflix, I'm guessing this is just to boost that. I'm guessing that part of their products that you pay. Amazon already do it anyway.
Yeah,
the Premier League, they have their however many games a year they show. So I'm guessing again that's just to promote Amazon Prime. People already paying for it. Apple Plus, don't know much about that. YouTube and Facebook. That's interesting. Facebook is an interesting one. What's the pipeline with Facebook? They're going to start getting streaming live events. So I'm not a sort of all this, but I don't mean that horribly to people who are, but good luck to them. It's not my bag, but yeah, that intrigues YouTube. YouTube, I get it. Facebook is an interest.
Facebook's interesting. Usually when you stream things, you get cut off, don't you?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting what they do there.
That's really interesting. What I'd like to look into that a bit deeper actually, because that's an interesting one. Just to say, I'm cutting out a bit. Okay, so you were just saying about the red button cutting out. Someone said, so we. It would be great for us lower league clubs, but great for football to take it away from BT and Sky. Ian Howell's out there in the US of A. With increased prices, high prices for Sky, BT. Will pubs want to go down that route if they make minimal profit or loss? Pubs going down. That was what you were mentioning about it being in the pubs, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's like they make a lot of money. The pub, when the matches are at home or away and they're showing it on the screens, they take a lot of money behind the bar. I know that because having worked at the Neptune. So it where it could work out well for one, it could be detrimental to the other.
I get what Ian's saying, because obviously what he's saying there is you might have a pub that's got Sky, and then they got BT, and then they got Amazon, and then are they going to then get Netflix as well and have to pay more? And obviously your Sky subscription in your house isn't the same price as what you pay in the pub, and it's going to be the same for all these. And a pub suddenly having 5 or 6 different streaming platforms for football, is it going to work out? It's going to be worthwhile for them. So I get what he's saying there. But
I'm guessing the likes of Netflix and that are not necessarily. That isn't their target, is it? The pubs. The target.
I'll tell you right now. If I ran a pub, I wouldn't even bother with BT, because you pay an absolute fortune for BT, and they have 2 or 3 Saturday 3:00 at 12:30 Premier League games, and then they have the Champions League. But at least with Sky, you have games on probably every day, every other day. BT, it's so few and far between the games. and what they charge for it's a disgrace. So, a lot of the pubs you see now, they've got Sky, they might not have BT or vice versa, and so they're already cutting back and picking and choosing what they have. So with more streaming platforms, they're going to have to pick and choose even more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, that exactly. I think the way I'm seeing it is you listen to these other the target market isn't the pub's going to be the household, and if they're prepared to pay the EFL £200 million a year, that's an increase of £80 million going into the EFL, then it's probably a good thing in some respects, because the distribution of money with the Premier League is just not up to scratch, is it?
Well, I think at the moment, I think what they're doing is it's like a taster, isn't it? Yeah, and at the moment, I think what they're doing is like a taster, because like last Christmas, they obviously Amazon had the Boxing Day games, and I think they had the 27th, 28th of December games, the midweek between Christmas and New Year
this year as well.
And what a lot of people did was they just got 30-day free trial with Amazon so they could watch the football and then cancel it. And I think that's just kind of them sort of experimenting. Does it work? Doesn't it work? But obviously, if they went and actually got the Championship or got League One or League Two or the Premier League permanently, they wouldn't offer that sort of free trial. It would be a case of you're in or you're not. Do you know what I mean? But at the moment, they're just in the water.
But this is not a drive from the TV companies, by the way. This is a drive from the EFL. They're the ones going out and saying we want to do something different, and they're approaching the likes of like what we've said, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and that.
But it might make Sky up their game as well. Do you know what I mean? So
I think hopefully at some point they'll bring some regulation into football, whereby the crazy money going into the top 17 clubs or whatever it is, there can be some sort of, because you've got to look after the football family, and clearly that needs reviewing. EFL can in turn bring the money in themselves, and then fair play. Let's see.
Do you know what? I think one more thing on this as well. One more thing on this as well. I think with Sky, you look at it, and obviously they've got the EFL rights, but you see a lot of Championship games which are on TV, which is fair enough. But like tomorrow night, you've got Charlton, Portsmouth, and you've got Sheffield Wednesday, Bristol Rovers midweek, which are League One games. But how often do you see League One, League Two games on Sky, even though they've got the EFL rights? Very, very rarely, unless it's an international.
Yeah.
So from an EFL point of view, they're probably looking at it thinking, we got some big clubs that are in League One and League Two that have dropped down.
Yeah.
And Sky aren't fulfilling what they should be fulfilling. Do you know what I mean? So I completely get it. I get why the EFL are going out trying to
look, I think we ourselves, that's why we got proper football, because we probably, if we're honest and open, that modern day football doesn't appeal to me, for sure. And I know it don't appeal to many of us anymore. So I think the problem we got with the likes of Sky, they're not really interested in that lower league football. They're in this for the Premier League,
of course,
and I think they just have to oblige, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So we'll keep abreast of that. We really will. One next week, Ipswich v Derby on Friday night. That'd be a good game. That's a big. You know what? That's a good point. There we are, League One, Ipswich Derby. I mean, that's two big clubs.
Yeah,
with a lot of pedigree.
Yeah. But it's so few and far between you get League One and League Two games.
And you
but there is some massive EFL, obviously done at Sky, doing them justice.
And they want more money as well. But right, okay, so we are getting there. So we're going to move. Just want to quickly say again, a little bit unprepared for this week's show. I've got to be honest, I was anyway, putting a lot of time and effort into for this radio launch. And this show will be aired again, even though it did. The link died for about a minute. We'll be aired again on Saturday at 12 on the radio only, that is. But yeah, I can't wait. Next week's going to be good. great music, great chit chat, great football chat. So we will be posting up. Keep an eye on all the social media platforms for that. It's going to be fun. Right, time for this then. That's what time for, I think. We've done well again. It's working very slow, very slow. Here we go. This is going to cause a bit of controversy. The show wouldn't be the same if I didn't. So this is my weekly rant. Now, I promised I would not talk about this World Cup again because I feel it's been almost hijacked as a political tool for whatever. So my rant of the week is Gary Lineker. He's almost have his own agenda to bring his woke opinion and bring a political demonstration of some sort during the course of this World Cup. I didn't want to talk about it again, but I don't like him. I think he's a right wheel, and he is so full of opinion. The most well-paid man in the BBC. The guy is minted, and he just wants to force his opinion on us all the time. He's saying there are two players that are going to come out in the England squad being gay the night before the kick-off the World. Why? What's good? Come out, say you're gay, then shut your mouth and do you know what I mean? We're not interested. We don't care. I understand. You've made your decision to go to Qatar. Get over it and get on with it. But again, my rant is I can't be bothered with this World Cup because we're never going to hear the end of this, are we? All the talk about this World Cup is all related around political stuff, virtual signalling, gay rights. All I do is watch a World Cup. I don't agree with it being there, but they had their opportunity.
These players, if these players are planning to come out and say they're gay, I mean, what part of that do they think is going to be good for the preparation of a team trying to win the World Cup? That's just going to create a lot of publicity that they don't need. I mean, they should be concentrating on winning that cup. Every player that goes over there, forget about everything. The only thing that's on your mind is performances and getting through to that World Cup final. So if they're thinking of doing that, are they going to go and see Southgate before they come out with it? They're going to tell him, ask him what he thinks about it. And, it's ridiculous. They say this is a World Cup tournament, the biggest tournament in the whole world. And, they're trying to bring politics into it, trying to use it for different things. And at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's a football match, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a game of football.
Do you know what?
Well, I mean...
Yeah, do you know what, right? Honestly, like with Gary Lineker, he doesn't give a toss if 2 or 10 players come out as gay, right? For him, it's all about him. So he'll already have his little speech ready for the BBC. If a player comes out gay the night before, Match of the Day will come on and he'll speak and he'll give his little speech and he'll do this and so will the BBC because it's all about Gary Lineker. It's not about a player being gay or about a player's feet. It's not about that. It's about Gary Lineker. And everything he does and every route he goes down, it's about him and him getting likes and comments and reactions. And, it's all it's about. And, another thing on the World Cup situation as well, you see that Harry Kane said that he's determined to wear the rainbow banner or flat or armband or whatever, and go against the rule. Well, if he does that, do you know what? And FIFA turn around and say, well, no, sorry, you're not allowed to do that. I hope he gets banned. And even as an Englishman, I hope he gets banned because that's him breaking a FIFA rule. Now, none of us agree that the World Cup is in Qatar. None of us particularly agree with their rights or the way they are and all that sort of stuff and the fans, the workers that have died. No one agrees with any of that. But if FIFA put rules into place and our players or our manager or whatever go against it, then serves him right if he gets banned. There seems to be a massive problem with England at the moment where they're determined to basically make it all about themselves and do anything they can to just go against the way. So whatever. The thing is, I'd love to sit here and say I won't watch a minute of it, but I know I will. So I'm not going to lie because I like football too much. But it's all a farce.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's quite. I mean, this is Gary's rant, but it's not. It's all our rant at the moment, and we're all having a go here. But yeah, is that right then? Have FIFA said they can't wear these One Love armbands now?
I don't know if it's official. I don't know if it's official, but they've brought in this One Love thing. I think that's a campaign that they're allowing, and I don't think they're allowing the rainbow.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't know 100% if it's official, but Kane has made comments and said that he will do it. So, if he goes against the rule that's put in place, if it's put in place, I hope he gets banned, and it will serve him right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I say, I really didn't want to talk about World Cup again because we're as guilty of talking of it, but we are sharing our frustration that it's turning into what it is, and we're probably slightly guilty for carrying on the conversations. But it is my rant, and it's the one I'm wanting to have a rant about. And Gary Lineker, get on, sell your Walker's crisps, and shut your row, you idiot.
Kane's insisting he's going to wear this armband or whatever it is, then the whole team should wear it, and then the whole team gets banned from the tournament.
The problem is we've got a woke manager, haven't we, who is more concerned about filling everyone's head with agendas and telling fans how they should and shouldn't behave and telling people what England should and shouldn't do. It's not about the football anymore. That's gone out the window. It's about all these other political agendas that are attached to the game. And like Ian's just made a comment there and said, does anyone care if anyone comes out gay? No one cares. No. If you're gay, you're gay. No one cares. But it's the fact that Lineker is determined for these players to do it just before a World Cup, just to make a story, once again, it won't be about the football. It's going to be about something else. And it's just a nonsense. The whole thing is just a joke.
Yeah, I mean, the gay community must be sick of this. I mean, the vast majority of the gay community surely can't agree with this constant making their sexuality a big issue, because the bigger you keep going on, the more you keep trying to thrust this into people's faces. You don't. Why would you go to Qatar to support England and wave a rainbow flag? It's got nothing to do with England.
Well, exactly.
Nothing to do. Why would you do that? So I don't get it. All you're doing is putting yourselves on a pedestal. The gay community must be had enough of it. They must have done, because the majority of the gay community, probably very sensible, realise that, look, I'm a gay person. Do you know what? And next door, he's straight or she's straight, and they live their lives. What they get on behind their door, they get on with, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to live my. You're normal. You're just you're an everyday person. You're a human being, and whilst this constant agenda being played out mainly through football is being, all you're doing is differentiating yourselves from
it's
being
just so sad, though, isn't it?
Part of society.
It's just so sad at why they're always trying to cause divide. It's either the gay situation or Black Lives Matter, whatever it is. It's always something. It's like, just let fans be fans, let fans support football. Stop trying to cause division and make people hate other people and all this nonsense. It's just nonsense, and it only comes from one place, and that's the media, and then a handful of footballers and pundits and managers who like to throw their 2 pence in. But the normal fans are sick to death of it, aren't they?
Oh, they are, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But normal people are, I think, and normal people, I do include gay people in being normal.
Yeah, 100%.
Their sexuality is up to them. That's their choice. No, at the end of the day, that they must, like I say, it's like the BLM. The majority of black people don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But unfortunately, in this country, we are governed by noisy minority groups, and we have a very quiet majority. There you are. Right, that's the rant. Sorry, I've gone into it again, and wish I didn't have to. Gary Lineker, eat your Walker's crisps and stay out the World Cup. Nigel, last words from you, sir.
I'm just listening to both of you there. It does seem to be a bigger issue with the men coming out and saying they're gay in football. I mean, the women's football team's got gay relationships in it. It's hardly ever gets mentioned in women's football, but it seems to be a big thing with the men coming out in football. That seems to be the problem. But it's going to go on. It ain't going to stop, is it? So I think we just got to get on with it.
Yeah, true.
One day, all these people will learn. You want to be normal in society, no matter what your race, creed, colour, religion is. Then just be normal. Don't put yourself on a pedestal,
Yeah.
because the minute you do that, you differentiate yourself from normality, and that's exactly what too many of these groups are doing. So wobble your heads. Let's all live as the human race and be happy. We end on that, I think. Oh no, sorry, Greg. Last words from you.
Well, something funny to end on. While I've been on here, the world's strongest man's come on the telly, and obviously that's nothing to do with football, but it's at Milton Keynes' ground, and I think it's quite funny because I think there's a bigger attendance for the world's strongest man than Milton Keynes get at home. So that made me chuckle a little bit. But no, just back to normal stuff, mate. Roll on Luton next Sunday. It's going to be a long week waiting for that. So yeah, can't wait for that one.
And the radio station kicks off 7 o'clock Friday night, and we're lining up as much live shows as we can for the whole weekend of our opening weekend for the radio. Watch this space, and we'll catch you all again for Proper Football Live next Sunday at 6:30. Until then, Nigel, I think we're going to catch up tomorrow. Greg, no doubt, will be talking in the week. And as for everyone else, thank you for watching and listening. We absolutely appreciate all of you who join us for these shows. Keep sharing, keep subscribing, keep liking. All the best now, and we'll have a safe week, everybody. Have a lovely week.
Cheers.
Right, that's it then. End credits. Hang on, people. Oh, I'm no good. I was so ill prepared. Here we go.